Hi. We are a small but mighty crowd, and I'm so grateful that you're here. My name is Jackie Cook, and I'm very privileged to introduce our speaker for tonight, Mr. Jahmal Cole. I could spend a lot of time up here going through the many awards and accolades that Mr. Cole has received, including Activist of the Year multiple times by Chicago Reader and Chicago Magazine, and being Crane's most powerful Chicagoan, not to mention a couple of honorary doctorates to top it off. What I'm most excited, though, to tell you is that he is an inspiring mentor for youth in his community, a tireless advocate for social justice for the underserved neighborhoods of Chicago, and a caring activist fighting for the marginalized in our society. He is literally changing lives. The Racial Justice Committee of the First Presbyterian Church of Wilmette and the Wallace Moore Lecture Series are honored to welcome the founder and CEO of My Block, My Hood, My City, Mr. Jahmal Cole.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Yeah, this seems better. Okay, cool. All right, so, where was I? Okay, I was saying a few years back, I was getting some shots up at Cole Park in Chatham. It was like the morning, and I recognized there was a homeless teenager that was sleeping on the playground underneath the slide, right? And I guess my dribbles woke him up because I got there so early, and he came out from underneath the slide without any shoes on his feet, and he walked over to me and he said, "Could you shoot with me?" I was like, "Of course," right? So I'm passing him some shots. I don't remember this kid's name, but he had the utmost confidence. Most confidence that, like, every time I passed him the ball, he yelled out, "Steph Curry!" And I was like the best shooter in NBA history is like, "Steph Curry!" And I'm not saying things to say things, but this dude missed like 7 or 8 shots in a row. Didn't even hit the rim. And he's like, "Steph Curry!" I was like, and it was really funny. So after the 10th shot, I was like, man, like, you probably make more shots if you had some shoes on your feet. Where are your shoes? He said, "I don't have any shoes because I just got out of incarceration." I was like, "Excuse me?" He said, "I don't have shoes because I just got out of incarceration." Now, even though I heard what he said and I understood what he said, I just never heard anybody say it that way before, right? I've heard people say, "I just got out of jail" 1,000 different ways, right? I've heard people say, "I just got back from doing a bid. I just came home. I had to go sit down for a couple months." I know Italian people say, "I just got out of college," right? People in New York, they say, "I just got back from up north. Feds sent me way out by Lake Michigan." I mean, I've heard 1,000 renditions of "I just got out of jail," but I've never heard anybody say, "I just got out of incarceration." And I like that way. It resonated with me because when you say, "I just got out of incarceration," that makes it seem like you're being harmed instead of being punished. Like, "I just got out of incarceration," that puts the action verb on the punishment. It makes the jail time seem rougher than, "Oh, I just had to sit down for a few months," or "I just got back from college," like the Italians said, or "My egg's still gonna be warm by the time I get home." I mean, I heard people say it a lot of ways, but anyway, I told the kid, I said, "So they just let you out of incarceration with no shoes?" He said, "Yeah, this is my second time in jail," right? He said he was in solitary confinement for 2 months. "It's cool though. All I needed was a window and some fresh air." I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, I was in solitary confinement for 2 months. It's cool though. All I needed was a window and some fresh air," right? I'm like, man, so I'm just passing the kid the ball. Steph Curry's still throwing up bricks. I'm passing him the ball, and I'm trying to get to know him. So I'm like, "Hey, man, there's a lot of cops out here. There's an overwhelming presence of police in the community. They're turning on their sirens just messing with people. What they get you for?" He's like, "Man, I got locked up because I like stealing cars." Not that he stole a car. He said, "I got locked up because I like stealing cars." I love the way this kid's talk. I love the way he talks because he has the ability to like subtly shift the blame and not take responsibility, right? So I'm gonna try that. When someone says, "Why is your wife mad at you?" I'm gonna say, "My wife's mad at me because I like watching the Bears games too much," right? Like, not that I'm not doing nothing else. "My wife's mad at me because I like watching the Bulls game too much." That's what I'm gonna say. But anyway, I said, "Okay, man, so you like stealing cars." I was like, "I've seen y'all on the news. Y'all been stealing all these cars in Chicago. Like, they call y'all the Kia boys. Y'all been using the key fobs to steal the Kias, and y'all been breaking it into I've been seeing y'all on the news." He's like, "Don't insult me, man. I ain't steal a Kia. I stole a Mustang." I was like, "Excuse me." I was like, "You're right. I was like, a Mustang is way better than a Kia, And he was like, I said, "Listen, how do you go about stealing a Mustang without a key fob?" He's like, "Easy, man. Easy. You just gotta break the window. You take off the ignition cap. you see the red wire and the blue wire, you tap, 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 tap those beads together and it starts. I was like, well, explain it to me again, man. He said, easy, man. You just break the window, you take off the ignition cap, you see a red wire and blue wire, you tap, 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 tap them beads together and it starts. I said, man, you sound like a Microsoft engineer right now, man. He was like, really? I could tell he hadn't got a compliment in a while. He's like, really? I was like, yeah, man. If you have the aptitude to take off an ignition cap in the middle of the night, see a red wire and blue wire, twist them together and start a car, man, you could be a Microsoft administrator in a trading firm. He's like, wow. I was like, man, have you heard of microtrain? He's like, no. Anyway, it was on my heart. You know, God put it in my heart to help this kid out. So I took him to City Sports on 87 to get him some shoes. Of course, he wanted the red Jordans, so I brought him some red Jordans. And then I gave him $50, and he said, can you drop me off at McDonald's? I was like, all right, man, you hungry? He said, no, I'm just going here to use the Wi-Fi. I said, you're going to McDonald's to use the Wi-Fi? He said, yeah, we all do it. I was like, all right, man, cool. So I said, before you got the car, man, I was like, why you steal the Mustang? He said, I just wanted to drive fast. I love this kid. I said, I just want to drive fast. Anyway, I tell y'all that story not so I can make myself look good for helping kids at parks and buying shoes. I tell y'all that story because this is what happens when you're in the neighborhood and you're on the courts. This is what happens when you're involved in the community and you actually care. You go thinking you're about to get some jump shots up, right? And then you learn about our jail system and how they're just letting kids out of jail with no shoes and no money. How they expect them not to go back? How are we reducing recidivism rates in Chicago by just letting kids out of jail with no shoes and no money, right? So, I mean, quite frankly, we need to be investing in kids before they get to the point of stealing cars, right? We need education reform, right? We need to make sure we're doing mental health services. We need to make sure there's food access, universal Wi-Fi. I mean, kids are going to McDonald's to use the Wi-Fi. Come on, man. And I'm also about to say, put the basketball rims back up in the neighborhoods, because when those rims are up, there's more opportunities for connection or just positive mentorship. Like I told y'all the story about I call him Steph Curry. Steph Curry, that's what I call him right now. But anyway, you might ask yourself, why are they taking the basketball rims down in Chicago? Why are they taking the rims down? Well, some people feel like basketball courts are magnets for violence. They're magnets for violence. And if you take the rims down, the neighborhood will become safer. Again, some people feel like basketball courts are magnets for violence. And if you take the rims down, the neighborhoods will be safer. There's no evidence that proves any correlation between violence and basketball, but that's what they feel like. So they are taking the rims off the backboard, or they'll put the steering wheel lock on the rim so people can't shoot. I get to see them up there. Oh, this will keep them out. Let's just put this steering wheel. This will keep them out, right? They're also taking poles out of the grounds. And in some communities, they just take the whole pole out of the ground. You couldn't play basketball at some parks in some communities if you wanted to. The whole pole's been removed, right? It's like they're redlining basketball courts to keep black people out of basketball courts in Chicago. I talked to one lady 2 weeks ago. She said she's been calling up parks to see if they have open gyms. She'll call up and say, hey, do you guys got open gym? And they'll tell her things like, how big's the group size? Or they'll say, we're under maintenance. And then she'll show up and say, hey, I'm here for the open gym. They'll say, oh, come on right in, it's upstairs. She'll say, I thought y'all was under maintenance. Oh, don't be silly, the balls are right over there, right? She feels like they're trying to keep her away from coming to the open gyms. I talked to another resident of Chicago, and she told me that she lives in an affluent community. And on the west side of her park is rich people. On the east side of her park, people don't got that much money. They took the rims down on the rich side of the park, and they left them up on the poor side of the park. So that tells me we're having a power and an access thing. This is about power and access. Like, who has the power and access to call up the park superintendent, to call up the precinct captain, to get a rim cut down? Like, most people in Chicago can't get a garbage can replaced, right? You can't get your alley cleaned up. You call 911, it takes 4 hours sometimes for them to come. But some people can get a basketball pole removed from it. Come on, man. It's also deeper than that, too, y'all. It's deeper than that because the amenities in the parks aren't the same either. And that's done by design. That's done intentionally. Like, who's the person that designs parks and says, this park deserves a basketball court and this one doesn't? Like, who is that? I want to talk to that person. And I want to tell them that you're not touching the tennis courts, you're not touching the volleyball nets, you're not touching the soccer goals, you're not dividing up the baseball diamonds. Stop touching the basketball rims. Stop touching those basketball rims, because parks are for everybody, man. And everybody deserves the right to have fun and play some ball, right? So it's bugging me out, man. And so you can say that you're doing it because of violence prevention, but that's even not true, because there's violence that happens in parks in Chicago and those rims don't get touched. There's like 3 parks I've researched that there's violence happening there. Those rims don't get touched, man. So my thing is this, man. Like, if you're doing it because of violence prevention, if you see somebody, or if you catch somebody smoking weed on a park bench, you don't take away the park bench. They just gonna go to the bleachers, man. Like, if you want to stop violence in Chicago, you don't take down the rims, you invest in communities. So, and I'm not trying to bash the park district or anybody, right? Because I don't feel like there's a better institution that's positioned to work with people, to impact the lives of Chicagoans than the park district. I really feel that way. But they missed the shot on this one, man. They missed the shot on this one. So what my team is doing is we're going around parks, various parks this summer, and we're putting up rims and we're putting up nets in communities. And if we can't put a permanent hoop there, we're bringing portable hoops to parks, because we think 50 to 60 kids per day can play at those hoops if those rims are up, right? 50 to 60 kids per day can be playing and having mental health and exercising and making small talk and meeting people. So to us, that's saving lives. So that's what we're doing with our Save Streetball campaign, but it's really about saving lives, right? Okay. Also want to start here and say that, okay, boom. A few years back, I was invited to a restaurant in Hyde Park for a free dinner. It was called Virtue, a beautiful restaurant. And the owner invited me and my family for a free dinner. And when I got there, he pulled me to the side. He said, Jahmal, me and my friends and my business partners were worried about you. I said, y'all worried about me? Why? He said, because we just saw on the news that your organization, My Block, My Hood, My City, y'all gave away $1 million. Y'all started a small business relief fund and gave away $1 million. I was like, this guy's about to ask me for some money. I could tell. Why? He's about to ask me for $25,000. Why are you asking me that? He was like, that's what I said in my head. What I said to him though, I was like, yeah, our mission is to take care of people no matter what. When there was a lot of rioting and looting, we used our Instagram page to raise $1 million, and we gave it out to 200 businesses. I'm really proud of it. He said, yeah, but we're still worried about you. I said, why are you worried about me? He said, because you just gave out $1 million, man. Don't you know that Dr. King died broke? Don't you know that Malcolm X died? They didn't have a lot of money to leave behind to their family. Are you saving enough money for your kids? Do you have a 529 plan? I was like, man, why is this dude all in my pockets and counting my money? I was like, listen, bro. I was like, yeah, I gotta, I said, listen, it is tough running a nonprofit. The road's so narrow, you can't turn around sometimes, so I get it. I'm trying to save what I can. He said, don't give me the political answer. We're worried about you. We saw you on TV. You just got shot. Somebody shot you in broad day. We saw that. You got shot twice in a year. We're all worried about you. He said, listen, do you got life insurance, Jahmal? I said, yeah, I got life insurance. He said, good, man. Look, I'm not going to lecture you. All the food's free here tonight. Enjoy. I'm glad you're here with your family. We love you. Just make sure you take care of your family, because your heroes didn't die. They died without leaving a lot of money behind. I was all right, cool, thank you. So I went back to my table. I had the best macaroni and cheese I ever had in my life. It was amazing, right? And as I was sitting there, I was like, man, this guy's right. How is my organization giving out $1 million per year, and I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm hustling backwards, right? And he's also right. I did just get shot, right? And when I got shot, that was painful. I wouldn't say it was painful I didn't feel getting shot, but it was painful seeing the look in my daughter's eyes. Because when I first saw my daughter when I got shot, she wasn't like, oh, Dad, I'm happy you're alive. I'm happy you survived. Like, that wasn't her first reaction. When my daughter saw me, she was like, man, I'm scared to be around you, man. I'm not going to the park with you. You got shot twice in the same year. I'm not trying to. That's a fair reaction by a 7-year-old kid, right? I'm not, when I got shot, my whole family got PTSD. When kids in my program get killed, the whole community gets PTSD, right? With all these shootings that go on in Chicago, I feel like the whole city of Chicago has PTSD, right? And so, I'm just really now getting over mine. But also want to say that you don't expect to be having a great day on the day you get shot. You don't. On the day that I got shot, it was a beautiful day. My favorite song came on the radio. The sun was shining. I was like, oh man, this is beautiful outside today, right? It's a beautiful day in Inglewood. That's what I was thinking. It's a beautiful day, right? And you don't expect to be coming out of a school having just gave a motivational speech with a briefcase in your hand, and somebody drives by and you don't expect that to happen, right? You expect to be caught off guard when you get shot. You know it's going to be a surprise, right? They're not going to be like, oh, well, just shoot me on the right side of my leg on a Tuesday. It's not going to happen like that. You're going to be caught off guard. You expect to be surprised. But when it happens, your mind, my mind doesn't automatically associate loud sounds. Like my mind didn't associate that with somebody shooting at me right away. Like I'm not war trained, I'm not military trained, I'm not war ready. You couldn't have told me somebody was shooting at me. Again, the first time I got shot, all I heard was tick, 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 and I was on the ground. The second time I got shot, in my arm, I thought there were rocks kicking up from tires on the highway and it had broke somebody's windshield. You ever had a rock break your windshield when you're on the highway? Like, man, rock broke my windshield. It's gonna cost $500, it's gonna take me a week. Annoying. Like, I actually looked at the minivan that shot me with empathy. Like, man, it sucks that if they'd have shot me in my neck or my head, I would have died thinking that a rock had ricocheted from the windshield and hit me in the neck, right? Because it happened so fast. I didn't have time to react, right? I didn't have the privilege of flinching, right? It wasn't like in the movie Boys in the Hood, where Ricky was walking down the alley and Cuba Gooding yelled out, "Ricky!" And Ricky looked up, and then the guy pulled out a gun. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the privilege of flinching like that. Right? It wasn't like in the movie Malcolm X, where the guy would, "Get your hands on my pocket," and Malcolm was like I didn't have that privilege of flinching. By the time I heard the shot, I was already hit. Right? I was already hit. In fact, a lady, when I got shot, she started screaming. And I was like, "What's wrong with you?" She said, "Somebody just shot you." I said, "No." I said, "That's just rocks kicking up from tires and breaking windshields." She said, "No, man, somebody shot you." And I looked at my arm, everything was orange. The blood wasn't even red yet. It didn't have any, the blood was orange. I looked at my shoe, it was full of orange, my shirt was all orange. And when it started turning red, dread crept over my body. And then I jumped to the ground. 10 seconds later, I had a delayed reaction. Have you guys seen a video of a deer getting killed by a hunter with a rifle? Like the deer's minding his own business, eating food, then a loud sound, the deer looks up, then goes back to eating, and then drops dead. That's how I was. I had a delayed reaction to being shot. I didn't feel anything. I didn't have the privilege of flinching, right? So, and when I woke up in the ambulance, they said, "Oh, you shouldn't jog over here anymore." That was don't jog this direction anymore. That was the EMT told me. And then I got to the hospital and they tried to arrest me. Can you imagine? I didn't cry when I got shot, but I cried I cried going into the hospital because I felt like a statistic. Flip him over, move him over, flip him in. I felt like a McDonald's sandwich, bro. They're working on my arm. While they're working on my arm, we have to leave the bullet in you. It's not gonna bother you. I can't even go to the airport now without getting stopped. I hear if you get shot in the face, they say just grow a beard. It's cheaper to keep the bullet in you than to get it out you. While they're working on my arm, 2 sheriffs come up to me. "Oh, we're taking you to jail. Your name is Jahmal Cole. You got a warrant out for your arrest." I've never been arrested in my life. I've never been to jail. And I volunteer at Cook County Jail all the time. I'm sure they would let me know if I had a warrant out for my arrest. By the way, I'm traumatized already. Now I'm getting taken to jail. "Oh, they came back 20 minutes later and said, we spelled your name wrong. We didn't put the H in your name. We thought you were somebody else." Man, get me out the hospital. I'm traumatized already. I'm pissed off. I'm mad. I was let down a couple times that day by the system, pretty much. And so, like I said, the first time I got shot, I was coming out of a school, giving a speech at 12:16 in the afternoon on a sunny day, and somebody shot me down on this side of my head. The second time, it was grazing. I didn't get hit in the head. Somebody grazed me here. I still thought I was gonna die. Anytime you get shot in your head, you think you're gonna die. The second time I got shot jogging, and somebody shot me on my bicep. The third time in the same year, just Google this, Jahmal Cole shooting. The third time I'm walking down the street on 53rd and Hyde Park, walking in broad day. This time an AK-47 goes off. This time I know there's not firecrackers though. This time I know it's not rocks kicking up from the highway. This time I know it's gunshots. Not because of the way it sounded, y'all. I knew somebody was trying to shoot me because how afraid I was, man. My soul jumped out my body. And I was afraid. I was like, this is my last performance in life. Like you have an out-of-body experience where you think you're gonna die, and it's dread crept over me. And when my soul jumped out of my body, I dove to the ground and hid underneath the car. I dove to the ground, I was hiding underneath the tire, and I looked up from the tire. Guess where I was at? Right in front of Virtue Restaurant, where the guy just a year ago invited me and said, "Me and my family are worried about you." I jumped up, when I got the courage, I ran, they shot all those windows out, they shot all just Google it, broad day. I ran for my life. I got to a fence, and when you got that adrenaline, you could jump a fence when you're running for your life. And After all those shootings, and I was running for Congress at the time, so the news was like, do you think somebody's trying to kill you? I was like, man, how do I, that after the third time I started thinking somebody was trying to shoot me, right? And after all those shootings, some community group on the north side of Chicago in Lakeview, they reached out and said, Jahmal, we're taking up a GoFundMe to buy you a bulletproof vest. Do you want it? And I was like, man, that's cute. I was like, thank you, but I don't want a bulletproof vest unless everybody in my neighborhood can have one, right? I don't want a bulletproof vest unless everybody in North Lawndale can get one. So I don't want a send me a size large. I said, no, just send me a size large. No, I want the bulletproof vests that are the ones that look like polo shirts. But no, I don't want a bulletproof vest. My wife she wouldn't let me have one if I wanted one anyway. But seriously, man, like I tell y'all these stories about all these shootings. My heroes, like Dr. King was killed by a lunatic with a rifle. But I tell you the stories because it's hard to run a nonprofit organization in Chicago, man. My home went into foreclosure starting my nonprofit. It's hard starting a nonprofit organization when you don't come from money. It's hard starting a nonprofit organization. It's just, the road is so narrow, man. You can't even turn around. You just have to have faith to keep. If you don't have faith, you can't do this work. It's not possible without the faith. That's what keeps you going. And on the days where and then after you get shot and your family's asking you to move, oh, why don't you just move? You can afford to move somewhere. Let's move away, right? It's hard, but I always look at Dr. King's eyes when he's giving speeches on YouTube, and I'm like, Dr. King said, like anybody, I want to live a long life. He said longevity has its place, but I'm not concerned with that now. I just want to do God's will, and that's very helpful for me because that's what I want to do is God's will. That's why I'm walking in my purpose. That's why I do what I do with my block, my hood, my city. A little bit more about me. I applied to one college in high school, and that was Howard University, of course. And I applied there because that's where P. Diddy went to school at. That's why I applied there. And my friends and I, we didn't match the skills that we had with what universities offered, right? We just chose universities by, are they on ESPN, with sports, or did any big famous rappers go to the school? So that's why I chose Howard. And at the time, it was a $75 application fee to go to Howard. And we didn't have $75. I lived in a motel with my dad on 52nd Street. And we ate at the Catholic Charities for dinner every day. It was so embarrassing because my high school classmates would be volunteering with the clear gloves, and they'd be serving me food. I was so embarrassed, I wouldn't eat. My dad would say, hold your head up high when you get that food, man. Don't be embarrassed in front of them. Go get that food. And so I'd go get the food. It was pretty good food. I mean, it might as well have been Gibson Steakhouse on Rush to me because I'd never been in a restaurant. They had porcelain plates with etchings on the side. I was like, oh, this is Italy over here. Oh, this is beautiful. So I liked it. It's good food. But we didn't have $75, but somehow my dad found the money and we applied to Howard, right? I applied at the beginning of my senior year of high school. About 2 weeks before high school graduation, I hadn't heard anything back from Howard University, so I went to my guidance counselor and I said, hey, I haven't heard anything back from Howard University. She said, well, Jahmal, you go to an alternative high school. You can't get into a Division I college. I was like, what's Division I? Like, I didn't know the difference between Division I, Division II. I never met anybody who went to college, right? If I went to high school 3 days in a row, my dad would say, you going to school again today? I didn't have to, I never met anybody that went to college, right? I'm going to the league, lady. I'm about to go to the NBA. That was my goal. That's why I wanted to go play. I just wanted to be on ESPN and go to the NBA. So she said, oh, you got to go to a military, go to a trade school. You don't have the grades to go to college. I was like, you hating on me, lady. I don't like you. You talking down. I'm going to the league, lady. I'm about to get out this motel. I'm about to buy my parents' Cadillacs. I got to go to the NBA. What do you mean I can't go to college? She said, well, you don't even come to school. Well, this is when God started shining on me. Her phone rang, and she left the office. And on her bookshelf was a black book with gold letters. It said All American Colleges on the spine. So I grabbed the book, looked out the window where she was at, grabbed the book, I ripped the page out of it and shoved it in my pocket. She came back, blah, 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 you hating on me, lady. I'm going to the league, lady. I'm about to go to the NBA. She was like, you can't go to college, go to a trade school, whatever, man. So I left her office, I went downstairs to the other office, I took the page out of my pocket, I opened it up, it said, Wayne State College, Nebraska. I was like, Nebraska, man? Why couldn't this be Florida, New York City at least? Like, come on, what's in Nebraska? Buffaloes? Like, well, I'm not trying to go to here. It's not warm, Nebraska cold. But that's all I had. I never met anybody that went to school. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have anything. This is all I had. So I dialed the number, 402-375-7000. And a lady named Nancy picked up the phone. I said, Nancy, this is Jahmal Cole. You guys got a basketball team? I'm going to the league, Nancy. She was like, what? I said, y'all got a basketball team? I'm going to the league. She said, yeah, we got a basketball team. I said, you guys got a business program? She said, yeah. Well, send me some information, Nancy. Nancy is a sweet lady, right? She sent me some information. Long story long, man. They accepted people from alternative high schools all over the country, right? So Wayne State College accepted me. They sent me a magazine acceptance letter. It had a computer screens. It had gymnasium. I thought I was going to Notre Dame. I was like, man, this is amazing, bro. This is amazing. Because I was so excited, y'all. I never, come on, I was getting out the hood. I was getting out this motel. I was tired of seeing mice eat our bread. I was tired of drug addicts knocking on our window and being afraid at night. I was afraid in this motel. I wouldn't tell anybody, but I was afraid. I lived in a motel on 52nd Street. So when I got accepted, I'm going to the league, man. What? This is my ticket out. I went around my whole community. Mom, check it out, Mom. I got accepted to Wayne State College in Nebraska, Mom. I'm about to go to the league, Mom. I'm about to buy you a Cadillac. We're going to get out the hood. My mom says, you got accepted to college in Nebraska? What are you trying to be, white? I was like, no, man, I'm just trying to go to the NBA. I'm trying to go to the league, man. She was worried about me. But I didn't live with my mom at the time, right? I lived in a motel with my dad, right? I know my mom loved me. She was just worried about me, but I lived in a motel with my dad, so whatever. I went back to the hotel, or the motel, and I went to my friends. I said, Jeremy, check it out, man. Look, Jeremy, look. Look at the magazine. Look how beautiful this gym. I got accepted to Wayne State, man. I'm about to go to the league. The league. I'm about to buy us all Cadillacs. We're going to get out the projects. I can't wait. Jeremy said, you got accepted to college? Man, you think you better than everybody, man. You think you better than us because you got accepted. I got my jaw broke by my own friends. You think you better than everybody. I was walking around, I couldn't talk all summer, just mouth wire shut all summer. You think you better than us, man. You're not better than us. Man, I took the acceptance letter to my last hope at the motel with my dad. And I said, look, Pops, I got accepted to Wayne State College. I've been watching basketball with my dad since the Lakers when I was 4 or 5. Since James Worthy, Kareem, Magic. I was like, Pops, I'm about to be like Kobe, Pops. I'm accepted to Wayne State College in Nebraska. I'm about to go to the league, man. We're going to get out the motel. We don't got to eat at the Catholic Charities anymore. I'm about to go to the league, man. I'm not saying things to just say things. That same night, my dad stole a U-Haul truck and drove me 11 hours away to Nebraska, right? When you're 17 years old, in high school, you start getting credit cards in the mail. I got a Capital One credit card that was worth $500, right? I bought some nice shoes. I bought a Michigan State visor. I don't know why I would do that. I bought some socks and underwear, and that's it. We used the $500 credit card for gas money to get to Nebraska. Who steals a 17-foot U-Haul truck? Why didn't my dad steal a Prius or something like that? We used the whole amount of the money on just getting across the country to Nebraska in a 17-foot U-Haul truck with a cornstalk on the side, man. It was crazy. And maybe an hour before we got to Wayne State, there's corn was this high. I'm nervous. I'm looking around like, man, I know my dad had to be nervous. Could you imagine dropping your kid in 2001? Man, anyways, I'm going to the league. I'm going to the league, man. I don't care. I have no fear. I'm about to go to the league. My dad says, Jahmal, I want to tell you something. I said, what's up, Pops? He said, man, I'm really proud of you. You've persevered. You know, you're the first person in the family to really go to college, man. I'm happy for you, but I want to tell you something, son. I said, what's up, Dad? He said, about 6 months ago, back at the motel, I got the letter from Howard University in the mail. And it hurt me to see you going down to the registration office to see if you see the letter, but they didn't accept you. And I never told you. I got the letter, I just never told you. They didn't accept you. And I never told you because I knew you'd have been like, ooh, man. He said, I knew you'd have been like your friends. You would have just stayed back on the block and you'd have been doing whatever y'all do now. And I didn't want you to stay here, I wanted you to go away, right? And I'm almost tearing up thinking about it, but that was the best thing my dad ever did for me was steal a U-Haul truck and drive me to college. But that was really good for me. And when I got to college, the first day I got on campus, again, I had nothing but a shoebox. I never had a pair of basketball shorts. I never owned a pair of shorts my whole life. I never. I played basketball in cut-off jeans, right? I got my first pair of basketball shorts from a Mexican guy on campus. I still thank him every year. I still thank you for those purple pair of shorts. He can't believe it to this day. That was my first pair of shorts from a guy in the rec center. But the first day I got on campus, I went to the gymnasium and I saw the basketball coach. I was like, man, I'm going to the league, man. I'm Jahmal, I'm about to go to the league. I'm playing for your team. He was like, who is this guy? I was like, I'm Jahmal Cole. I'm about to be like Kobe, man. I'm going to the league. You got to play me. He was like, this dude is crazy. I was like, everybody was 7 feet tall from England, from Iowa. They was like, bro, who is this guy? I was like, I'm going to the, y'all can't stop me. I'm going to the league, right? I played 6 months of basketball my whole life. But I was like, I'm going to the league. And they kicked me out the office. They're like, man, you got to get recruited. I was like, I don't even know what recruitment means. I just know I'm going to the league, man. So, and I'm not saying it to say it. Every day for 2 months, I stopped at this basketball coach's office. Every day. His name is Rico Burkett. Every day. What's up, coach? You see the game last night? You see Allen Iverson? I'm going to be like that. I'm going to the league like him. Put me on your team, coach. Put me in a game. I don't care if he was in a meeting. Hey, coach, what's up? How you doing? It's me, Jahmal Cole. Put me in again. After 2 months, he was like, this boy is crazy. He was like, something's wrong. Keep that kid away from my office. Something's wrong with him. And but after 2 months of being persistent, he said, man, I'm going to give you a tryout. And they don't even give tryouts, and they didn't never do it before, but he gave me a tryout, beat me down, but he allowed me to walk on the basketball team. And y'all listen, like, when he called me and told me I made the team, you know what I'm going to say. I'm going to the league, man. I'm going to the league. I'm going to the league, man. I never had nothing. Like, now I have Adidas clothes, Nike shoes. I'm going to, I've never even been on a plane. My first plane ride was to Hawaii to play on ESPN. Come on now. I never had nothing. Now I'm on planes playing basketball. I'm going to the league, man. It's amazing. Amazing. So after 6 months of playing basketball at Wayne State, 6 months, my coach brought me into his office. I'm always scared of him. So I'm like, man, is he going to give me more playing time? What's going on? He said, Jahmal. I said, what's up, coach? He said, why do you have a 1.7 GPA? I was like, man, well, I'm going to tell him the truth because I need this guy. I'm going to tell you the truth. You gave me all your clothes. I'm going to tell you the truth. I said, listen, man, I went to an alternative high school. I'm not used to having teachers, let alone professors. We just had computer modules in school. I don't know how to study. Plus, I can't afford the books in a bookstore. They're too expensive. I've never even read a book before. Besides Bible school, I've never read a book. And plus, the people in Nebraska are treating me racist. You don't see this stuff? You don't see it? The first day on campus, literally the first basketball practice, the news media came up to me and they said, Jahmal, will you talk to my son on the phone? He's never talked to a black basketball player before, but he watches ESPN all the time. Will you talk to him? That's racist, coach. I was like, you want to know why I'm not getting good grades for real? I'm going to tell you the truth. It's cold out here. I don't have no money. I hate the food. It smells like manure. Y'all keep saying it smells like money. It smells like manure outside, coach. Y'all treat me racist. I'm having a hard time adjusting, coach. I'm having a hard time. You got me practicing twice a day. I'm trying to make some friends and roll some dice. We're watching Scarface tonight, man. I can't. I'm tired, man. And my coach, he was patient with me. His name was Rico. I needed him to be patient, really patient. As I went through my list, I'm homesick, I don't got no money. He just stopped me. He said, Jahmal, you know what's missing from your list? I said, no, what? He said, your name's not on it. He said, no excuses. The highest level of maturity is taking full responsibility for your actions. I was like, what is this dude talking? I'm not making excuses, man. I'm telling you the truth. You asked me why I don't get good grades. I've never read a book. I can't afford the books in a bookstore. They're too expensive. I just told you that it's cold out here. I don't have no money. I hate the food, man. It smells like manure outside. All them cows. Y'all treat me racist, man. I'm having a hard time adjusting. Coach, you got me practicing twice a day. I'm hungry. I'm tired. He said, Jahmal, no excuses. The highest level of maturity is taking full responsibility for your actions. So we weren't going to get along. He kicked me out the office. He brought me back in. And I felt his punishment the next day at 6 a.m. Sat me down in his office at the table. Looked at me in an awkward silence, put an envelope on the table and slid it over to me. I opened it up, $500. I'm going to the league, man. This is the second time in my life I had $500. He's like, I want you to spend it on books. It's a book scholarship. I went and bought another pair of Nikes. I bought a Kirk Heinrich jersey. I don't know why I would do something like that. I bought a Kirk Heinrich jersey, but then I bought 4 of the 5 books that I needed in college. I didn't get business stats. I don't need business stats, but I got all 4 of the 5 books that I needed. And in one semester at Wayne State, in one semester, I went from a 1.7 GPA to a 3.5 GPA in one semester, right? I had 4 A's. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Thank you. I learned how to separate immediate gratification from long-term rewards. I got a tutor. I went from I had 4 A's and a C, 1.7 to 3.5. My second report card, right? So you know me, I go to coaches, I'm going to the league, coach. I got 4 A's and a C, you gotta start me now. I want more playing time, I got 4 A's and a C. You was talking all that stuff last semester, sitting me down, saying why I don't get good. I got 4 A's and a C. I never had an A in my life, I got 4 A's and a C. You gotta start me. Rico looked at me, he looked at my report card, he looked back at me. These were the exact words. Why the hell did you get a C? I said, why did I get a C? I just told you it's cold out here, I don't got no money, I hate the food, y'all treat me racist. I'm having a hard time adjusting, man. You got me practicing all this. He said, Jahmal, no excuses. The highest level of maturity is taking full responsibility for your actions, man. I was like, oh, man. So I tell y'all that story because the whole time I was at Wayne State, I never played. I played 5 minutes of basketball in 4 years. I never played, man. You know how many Cadillacs I promised people back home? I cried I'm serious. I cried when I graduated. Real tears. I felt like a failure when I graduated college, a scholar athlete. I felt like a failure. My parents couldn't afford to come see me walk the stage. I cried real tears. Man, I was so mad I wrote a book about how much I hated my coach. Can you be so mad about somebody you can write a book? I did. And my first book, it got published by a company in Atlanta. And the company made like $96,000. They gave me like $6,000 or something like that. So I took the money, I bought a pinky ring, I went back to Hawaii, and I was broke. And I was like, man, the next time I write a book, I'm gonna publish it myself. And so that's what I did. I wrote my own book. It was a motivational book, and I started selling them downtown Chicago in front of Foot Locker. Because you can't buy a $200 pair of shoes and not buy a $10 motivational book, right? That's what my process was. But you can't actually sell books downtown Chicago, but if you buy the cops coffee on the corner, they might let you ask for donations, right? So that's what I did. I was always buying coffee for the cops and asking for donations, right? And I would say, like, on a good day, 2 out of every 100 people that walk by would make a donation and buy a book, right? On a great day, 3 out of every 100 people that walked by would buy a book. Right? But no matter how great the day was, 97 people still said, no, we don't even read, man. Oh, I'll catch you when I come back. No, right? I have to get used to that, right? And so I had to figure out how to stand guard at the door of my thoughts and not let those no's impact my energy so I can make the next presentation. Once I figured that out, to stand guard, I had to run 3 miles a day to get my mental in shape, do push-ups. I had to stand guard and not let your no affect me. Once I figured that out, man, I made $60,000 in 2 months. Just selling books in front of Foot Locker. I made so much money that Toyota named me the Entrepreneur of the Year and gave me $50,000 in a brand new car. Just because I was standing on the corner selling books in front of Foot Locker. Yeah, more so than money that I made, though, somebody in Cook County Jail read my book, the director of volunteer services. It says it's a good book. Coming from alternative high schools, going to college and making great grades and traveling the country. Can you come to the jail and speak to the 18-year-olds? Oh, I said, yeah, I'll come. Y'all gonna buy some books? They said, yeah. I was like, cool, right? I got to the jail and they said, oh, no, we didn't say 18-year-olds, we said AT. It's an acronym for automatic transfer. These men and women are going to prison for 10 plus years. But before they go to Statesville, will you talk to them and motivate them? I was like, they going to prison for 10 years? What they do? It's like, oh, don't worry about it. You're going to be cool, right? So they took me to a back room, like about 1/4 the size of this room, and 30, and you can't say inmates, residents, right? Residents, it's only, I'm like, where are the guards at? It's just me, and they're letting residents out, like real shackles. Like, I'm talking about slavery shackles. Everybody's shackled up. This is the day my life changed. They're just letting, guys, man, y'all, what'd they do? This is when my life changed. They walked in, they had smiles, they were skinny, they were funny. I was like, oh man, y'all the people that I see on the news? I was like, what? Remorseful, funny, blew my mind. I was like, man, y'all going to prison? So nobody wanted to hear me speak. It was cool. I was like, the guy name was Marquell. I said, Marquell, you don't have to listen to me. Since you know everything, you're the funny guy of the group, why hasn't your life worked out for you up until right now? Why hasn't it worked out? You know what Mark said? It's cold out here, I got no money, I hate the food, they treat me right. I said, oh. He said, I was like, that's my list, man. He said the city's messed up, the cops is messed up. That's my list that I told my coach. So that's when it dawned on me the whole time that I was in college. My coach, Rico Burkett, he wasn't even teaching me to change my jump shot. He wanted me to change my philosophy. Back in 2005, I blamed everybody. The coaches messed up, the schools was messed up, the city, my philosophy was messed up, man. It's so messed up. And it's like that in Chicago now, y'all. You just ask somebody, why does your neighborhood look like this? They say the alderman's messed up, the state rep, your philosophy is messed up, man. That philosophy to us is messed up. We could all ask ourselves 15 words that I live by. What's something simple I can do that'll make a positive impact on my block? What's something simple I can do that'll make a positive impact on my block? The positive things we do in Chicago, we hang holiday lights on King Drive. That's one of the positive things. Anybody can do this. If you go down King Drive right now in Chicago, you see police car lights and you see helicopter lights. We hang holiday lights. We decorate 500 homes for free. That inspires hope. That interrupts trauma. Kids get to hang holiday lights in their own block. It's amazing, y'all. Y'all can come out and volunteer with us on King Drive. This from December 2nd to January 2nd. The University of Chicago studies that to see if it increases or impacts public safety. Can you believe hanging lights? Just hanging. We're not talking about cameras. We're not talking about adding police cars. Can you believe adding lights to a community makes it safer? Woo! What's something simple you can do that'll make a positive impact in your block? I'm gonna tell you more simple things we do. These teenagers you see behind me, I work with 150 students from alternative high schools in Chicago. 150, that's 10 high schools, like alternative high schools like I went to. When you're kicked out of public school, and they used to call them alternative schools, they call it option schools now. We take these kids on field trips. We're going to Atlanta next week. We've been to DC. We go to Michigan. Listen, when they go to Michigan, they get back from Michigan, they say, I haven't heard a siren in 3 days. Listen, if there's 15 currency exchanges in your neighborhood and there's no banks, if you ask a kid, what's his job at a bank? Well, I don't know, I've never been to a bank. We take kids to banks. If kids want to be a chef, we take them to a restaurant to learn about culinary arts. When kids want to be in IT, we take them to trading firms so they can learn about Microsoft engineering, y'all. So if you show kids better, they do better. We have a 36 school waiting list in Chicago alone. That's how many kids we take on field trips. That's the youth development side of my program called My Block, My Hood, My City. We take kids on educational field trips. We expose them to different cultures, different professions, different cuisines. You can travel the world without leaving Chicago, right? You can travel the world without leaving Chicago. So that's one of the things, another simple thing we do. We also, once a year, we invite the kids all downtown. So it's called Downtown Day. It's really simple, but it's Downtown Day, July 13th. We invite 1,000 kids downtown and we give them $50 to do whatever they want. Like, when's the last time you've been downtown Chicago without any money in your pocket? Like, you wonder why kids don't, it costs $3,000 for a piece of Giordano's pizza, man. Like, it's like, kids can't afford anything. Parking is $200 downtown, man. To ride the Ferris wheel or the Centennial wheel at Navy Pier, that's $32. To go to the top of the Sears Tower, that's $38. Like nobody has money like that. The kids are staying away from downtown, so we give them $50 to do whatever. Most of them pocket it, right? I would too if I didn't have it, right? But we talked to about 200 businesses that open their doors, museums, boat rides, institutions. They open their doors for kids to explore on July 13th. We need chaperones if anybody wants to be a chaperone for Downtown Day. That's something simple you can do. We take kids downtown. You can't get any more simpler than that, right? For our community engagement, we work with 70 block clubs, maybe 71 block clubs actually. Block clubs are small groups of people that get organized once per month to improve the quality of life in their block. Somebody might need help with a speed bump. We don't want the new speed bumps that fall apart. We want the old school speed bumps. How do we get that? Some people might need a stop sign. How many signatures do I need to get a stop sign? Some people we don't want the LED lights. We want the old fluorescent lights that light up the alley. How do we get those, right? We work with 71 groups to improve the quality of life in their block. And guess what, y'all? We found out that the more connected your community is, the safer it is. The more connected you are, the healthier you are, the happier you are, the safe. I'm talking about things that are this simple. Hey, you know the girls are getting out of school right now. Let's look out on the block. If you see something, say something. That's like when we talk to blocks about why is your block safer than the next block? You know what they say? Oh, it's that way because we communicate with each other. It's that simple in Chicago. So we buy laptops for our block clubs and we use Facebook to get everybody connected. If there's 15 houses on this side of the street, 16 houses on that side of the street, we connect those 31 people once per month and we bring them together 4 times a year to have block wisdom and block talk. It's amazing what we do in Chicago. But that's my block, my hood, my city. Our mission statement is to take care of people no matter what. It's a weird mission statement, but it's the reason why it is that, because I had a lot of anxiety about how to get grants, and we're doing so much. We're hanging holiday lights, we're taking kids on field trips, we're shoveling snow for seniors, we're passing out, we're doing so much. How do you get a grant for that? They ain't no grants for that. So I actually got a chance to go to a basketball game with President Obama. We went to an all-star game together. And as I was at the game with him, we were standing up taking pictures for 3 hours. And I was like, man, are we gonna get to watch the basketball game? He was like, I'm getting paid $25,000 a picture. I was like, well, I was gonna stand in this line and take the picture. I was like, that makes sense, right? He was raising money for his foundation. But when I finally did get a chance to talk to him, I said, man, I got a question. I have anxiety. He was like, why? I said, I'm doing so much. How do I get grant money? I'm doing this, I'm doing that. He just looked at me and he was like, oh, you're just taking care of people no matter what. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, you just take care of people no matter what. So the mission statement of my organization is my block, my hood, my city, taking care of people no matter what, because my hero, Barack Obama, said so. And so that's what we do. I hope I can talk to you guys longer and answer any questions you have about my organization, but I want to thank y'all for listening to me, having me. I'm Jahmal Cole. I didn't make it to the league in NBA, but I found my own league in life. I found my own league. I feel like y'all can do one too. So I'm going to the league. Y'all going to the league. Okay, how can I answer any questions you guys have? Mic check.
If anyone, I don't know if anyone has any questions, I was going to use the microphone, but this microphone
You can take this one.
responded, so we'll take this one.
Thank you.
Thanks. Are there any questions?
Hi, my name is Kathy. I live in Maple Grove,
Cool.
and I've heard some of your speaking before, and so it was fun to hear some of the stories again and just see you in person.
Yeah.
My question is, why, or do you do this? This room should be full of juniors and seniors, and do you do these kind of talks to the kids during the day? I mean, we're already old and beyond, right? So I would think that you could be talking to all sorts of folks in high school.
Yeah, great question. So today I was at Mount Carmel High School, and there was like 700 students, and I had to speak to them from 2 to 3. Yesterday I was at another high school, 2 high schools yesterday. So I told God I was going to give 100 speeches this year. I don't care if they're paid or not. And I go to high schools, middle schools, colleges, churches, community groups, and I speak all over. But I do really, really enjoy speaking at high schools because I feel like I can arouse enthusiasm and inspire hope. And so that's a great question. And that's what you asked CPS. My trick how I get booked for speeches with high schools is that I handwrite letters to the principals. I tell them, hey, I want to come speak to your high school before the summertime gets here. It's important to me to teach kids goals before the summertime gets here. I handwrite them a letter and I give them a My Block, My Hood, My City hoodie. I get booked to speak so much because of that. That's kind of I do more than people expect to make the best investment in my future. But really, paid or not paid, I'm going to be at high school speaking because I feel like if you set goals, like having big goals is how you stay safe in Chicago. I feel like if it doesn't wake you up at 5 a.m., it's not big enough. Like I feel like because I'm not getting in the car with you if I want to be an astronaut, bro. I'm not about to sell these. I'm trying to go to Duke, man. Like if you have a friend, and I'll tell the kids all the time, if you got a friend and you say, hey, what are you doing this weekend? And they say, oh, I'm just maintaining. Run! Like you don't want to be next to nobody that's just maintaining, man. I want to be around people with big goals. I want to go to Notre Dame, man. I'm going to the league, man, because that type of thing creates a force field around you and you just look different. You just feel, I'm not doing, no, bro. I got goals, bro. You got to set them that big. That's my key.
This is the group that will write you a check.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'll take it too. I'll take it and take more kids and trips. I feel you. So.
I'm curious, you were shot 2 or 3 times. Do you feel that those were totally random, or do you think somebody was out for you personally?
Yeah, I don't. To be honest with you, I just think it was random.
I think it was random because, you know, I just feel like the first time when I got shot in the side of my head, I feel like they were, somebody got killed on that block a week before, and I think they were looking for revenge. And then the second time when I got hit in my arm, I think that, you know, who knows what kids do for initiation in gangs? I think they would have shot anybody that was jogging by that day, right? And then the third time, in my view ahead of me, I saw a guy running with orange dreadlocks, and I ain't never seen orange dreadlocks in my life. They must have been shooting at him. But that's what I think that happened in my head. But at the same time, like I move a lot differently nowadays, and I still have PTSD. It's really bad to this day. So.
Alrighty, my name is Shaniqua. I'm new to the Chicago area, so I was excited to hear about your program and learn about you. You talked about your book and My Block, My Hood, My City. Do you have other initiatives that we can be a part of? And you also talked about volunteering by hanging lights, but are there other opportunities to connect, volunteer, get involved without money if you don't have money?
Yeah. So on the back table, there's pamphlets and books. But there's all types of initiatives. One of the things we do with corporations is they come out to volunteer on the blocks. So about 2 or 3 corporations every week come out and volunteer. It could be mowing. It's so funny seeing the CEO struggle to start a lawnmower up, but we bring corporations to our block clubs and they help clean up the blocks. They help clean alleys that are neglected. They help mow lawns. They help rake leaves, build garden beds. So 2-3 times a week, starting late April to at least October, all types of corporations come volunteer on the block with My Block, My Hood, My City, and they bring their employees out to do it. It's amazing. Other opportunities we have, if you guys know of businesses that we can bring our teenagers to and expose, it can be a dry cleaning service, man. It could be changing oil. It don't have to be United Airlines. If you know of businesses that will allow us to bring 10 to 12 students after school and talk, how'd you start this business? How'd you guys get, that would be so helpful for us. You can go to our website, formyblock.org, and say, hey, I want to host your students. And so that's what we do for a living, is take students on field trips after school. So that's ways, and we're always looking for chaperones. You can get involved. Those are two simple ways you can get involved right now. Yeah.
I just wanted to say I love that you came back to your community. Like, that's what is so needed in any community, especially that's economically challenged and has very few opportunities. And if we all leave those areas, who's gonna help them, right? And so that, I think, is like really key to your work. You know, that you have a relationship with that community, you lived in that community, you know what everyone's going through. And so I just really commend that you did that.
Thank you.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Hi, Jahmal.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming. I have a few things to say. It's interesting that you, however this was chosen, to come to this school, to come to this community, to speak. I wish there were more people. I wish every seat was filled here. It's really important for people to understand the humanity, especially behind people of the diaspora. You were speaking very real, even though it was said in a humorous way. You were speaking about real challenges and things that happen. Stealing a U-Haul truck to take their child to school because there just really wasn't any money. I mean, you're speaking of much deeper rooted issues. I had the opportunity to visit a prison system, the BARD, it's called the BPI, BARD prison system. It's an educational interchange between the prison system here in New York and BARD College. My executive director couldn't go, and she asked if I would go, and I could think about it for a moment. And I went, and it changed my life in terms of what I now know about prison systems. We were actually in the room with these students, and it became papers they wrote and what they were going to do after they left. The organization that sponsors this also traveled to Europe to look at prison systems there because we don't think about prison systems in Europe, right? We think about them here. And how they're not dehumanized.
Yep.
They're actually looked at in terms of what do they do after this,
Yeah.
and how do they get reconnected to society? Because here, what we're doing to Black and brown men is we are incarcerating them, and then we're taking them out of the system so that they're no longer participating in, especially with votes. So, and I'm saying that because this is a big problem in this country. We know about, right now we're going backwards when it comes to DEI work. We're again, dehumanizing us as people. That story couldn't be further away from my story in terms of being, my family came from a different country. We came here, we were all educated. I live close, very close to this community, the next town over. My kids are highly educated and well-traveled, and I think about what's that difference and the difference of other people that haven't experienced that. And I have cousins that live all on the south side of Chicago, they're all educated as well, but didn't go that route. We have to do something to change this, and I'm really proud of you with what you're doing. And I want you to know, do you know anything about the Wayfair Foundation?
I've heard of them, but
I work for them, so we're going to talk afterwards. But thank you very much, and it's very important that you did this and that you expose the people that are here to this. And I don't mean Wayfair like F-A-I-R, Wayfarer. We are a grant-making foundation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
I could just, Jahmal, could you, I think it might really be interesting if you explain to people where the name of your organization came from. I know that resonated with me
Yeah.
years ago when I found out.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that we don't think about at all.
Yeah. So when I was volunteering at the jail, I used to always ask the kids where they're from. And they would say, my block is 21st Street, but my hood is the low end. And I say, man, why y'all say it so passionately? Like, you don't own anything on the block. Why are you so parochial? They'd be like, well, there ain't no black people downtown Chicago. There's no black people anywhere else, so this is my block. I was like, well, who told you that? And that's when it dawned on me that a lot of kids they'd never left their block. Like, they'd never been in a taxi. They'd never been in an elevator. Their whole worldview was shaped by the infrastructure in their neighborhood. So what I did was start a Kickstarter to take them on field trips. I just go to their neighborhoods, to the barbershops, and say, who want to go downtown to Giordano's? 2 kids would show up the first week. Who want to go to Giordano's? Next week was 13 kids in my trunk just laying down, like, we want to go downtown too. And so I wanted to start a program called Expanding Your Worldview, but that didn't look good on a t-shirt. So I just put my block, my hood, my city, and we just start taking kids on field trips. And so it's my block, my hood, but my city, and we're trying to expose kids to different things. And we work with, again, we work with 10 high schools in Chicago right now, and it costs probably $25,000 per high school, but we work with 10, and we have a 36 school waiting list just in Chicago. Not to mention other cities are asking us to come to their city to do our Explorers program, right? But we want to expand with integrity. I really don't even, like, I done lost so many kids in my program to gun violence. Oh, man, it's so hard, but if you can, that's why we call it my block, my hood, my city. The kids made it up. My block, my hood. I was like, oh, it always stayed in my mind. And I put my city behind it and put the Chicago Stars, and that's, we just started selling those t-shirts and hoodies to raise money to take kids on field trips. And that was pretty much how we did the organization.
It's a great motto, great logo for a t-shirt.
Thank you.
But I wanted to ask you, is Mayor Johnson, is he supporting you? Is he giving you any help in this amazing initiative that you are working on?
We haven't really done any work with government. You know, we pretty much just raise money in small, like we use Instagram, like if we raise $1,300, that could be from 200 people making small donations online. So we haven't taken like government grants, but Mayor Johnson, I did see him maybe 6 months ago, and I just let them know, man, you have a beautiful family. That's as much as we ever talked about. You have a beautiful family, but I'm willing to work with anybody. I think we need partners in city government. We need partners in federal government, because what if your master's degree isn't in internet marketing like me? Like we need to work together. So yeah, I would definitely work with the mayor. I'd work with the governor. I'd work with pretty much anybody to take kids on field trips. I would, but we haven't crossed paths just yet. But I've worked with every other mayor though. How's it going? I'm trying to work on myself right now. I'm working on myself. I'm reading a lot more, and I want to be the mayor of my household right now, because that's kind of what I'm trying to learn. But yeah.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Shirley Hilton. I'm from Edison. I'm very involved in community, just as you've been in the city of Chicago. I'm like that in Edison. And matter of fact, we use this logo, my blog, my community. It's all Dodge Avenue, Dixie Avenue, Simpson Avenue in Edison.
Okay.
All the way down the street from Valentine Edison area to the west end to McCormick and stuff. But I'm so grateful to have had an opportunity to hear you, because it is so important to me and to my community. I work with juveniles as well as adult inmates returning back to the community. And I recently got involved with Prison Fellowship Ministry. And I'm loving it, because I love giving and sharing. We need them and they need us. They have the integrity and character that need to be redeveloped, and some of them really want it. But who's to give it to them? We think incarceration is the key. That's not the solution. We are the key. We can mold and shape and build them to be citizens again that can be very positive, that can make a positive impact on our community. And that's what I'm about. And I'm so glad that I had an opportunity to hear you, and will support you forever. And anyone else too who's interested in helping build up the youth that's been torn apart, we've got a village. We all need one another. We can build together, and we can do it in unity. So why not today?
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Love it.
Okay. Anyway, she just told me about this today. Oh, let me take my coat off, because I'm getting, I feel like I'm about to pass out in this meeting. Anyway, my name is Charlie Hodge, better known as Chuck Up. I'm a musician for over 40 years, about as long as you are old, about 45, 50 years. And I work with groups like, maybe you might have heard of them, some of you here, I'm sure, people like Earth, Wind & Fire, to Raw Airs, to the Emotions, Staple Singers, all the social conscious people that use their music to impact our people, right? And so, without, because I know I don't have, there's so many things I want to say here, but one of the things that I'm working on, and that me and some friends of mine that are working on to impact, especially in the urban areas, that, because I grew up in the city of Chicago, on the west side of Chicago, doing the Black Panthers when they were on the west side, and all the assassinations that we've seen over the years in America, and we're still going almost through this whole cycle all over again, the politics that are going on here, and we have an emergency where we have the Americans are suffering, and in these particular, these neighborhoods, that we need people like yourself and many others out there that are trying to make an impact so that we can have a positive future in this country. But obviously, we're going through so many things worse than when I grew up in the 60s. But with that being said, there's a friend of mine, but we have a farm where we try to rebuild civilization, and what that looks like is that we want to take urban kids out of the cities onto farmland. We have a farmland, 14 acres, okay? 14 acres outside the city of Chicago, and what's the name of that neighborhood? Linwood, that's what I was going to say. Okay, so Linwood, right? And that's one, and we need to have this kind of thing happening all over America.
Yeah.
Well, we take them because it's going to have a spiritual and psychological effect on these young people, where we use music and agriculture, and we bring those two things together.
I love it.
So that. And we play music to the plants, because you know that plants, when they hear music, those enzymes increases where we have better nutrition. So we know in our neighborhoods we're not having the proper nutrition, right? We're not having the proper real education because our school educations are not, to me, in my view, is not really reaching. That's why, because we know that the structures that we're living in, this construct that we're living in, they want to keep the prison complex going because it's a money-making bag, basically. And so they're not caring about the justice because all of this could have been implemented way long time ago, since slavery. And so what we're trying to do is educate our children that need to know, because you can't move into your future until you understand your past. Am I right? And so for us, so for these young people that's been fatherless a long time since an affirmative action happened when they brought in public aid in the 60s, and when they wanted to take the black father out of the circle. I was one of those kids that was part of that scenario. Wow. And so when the children, when the black men start being missing, and the government start taking over, and then we're still going through that whole thing, but we're not having enough men like yourself or fathers in these homes with these young boys, especially. You know, now they got the girls that are having problems as well, and because we have, you know, we're dealing with, we're under a spiritual warfare that comes with people dropping drugs in our neighborhoods and guns and all these urban areas, you know. And then we have a country that's trying to turn black, white, blue, and green against each other while they have a whole nother agenda going on. So the best way to me that I think one of the things that we haven't been able to achieve yet is get kids to come to the farm. You know what it feels like when a child, when I brought some kids and we brought our children out to the farm, you know, they had this big, wide open space, and psychologically, you can tell these kids feel free. You didn't have to think about guns or bullets flying. And,
yeah.
You know, then we have a honey, you know, we grow honey out there.
That's amazing.
And we grow every vegetable that you can think of, especially when the weather's really good. But when we bring these kids, we need a program, and that's why this young lady just mentioned about grants. And we need more grants. And so right now we're struggling a little bit to try to maintain, because it takes, you know, more money and all kinds of things to keep the crops, you know, growing. And we wanted to open up a part of our program to have children come from these urban cities on an ongoing basis so they can feel what it feels like to grow food.
We got to connect then.
Yeah,
we got to connect.
Yeah,
got to connect.
And we have my friend of mine who wants to rebuild our civilization that deals with not only our sovereignty, but get to understand what happened to us in America and the reason why we're in the situation that we're in. And there hasn't been a breakdown of all these things because we have different religious philosophies, which is okay. But we need to break down so part of our program would be about the history, understand what's happened to us in America, how to grow food, because that would teach people to grow. When you grow food and you have nutrition, and you know, it's going to improve your whole psychological existence anyway. And so with that being said, I don't want to take up too much time, but the thing is that there's some things that there's some people that I know out here that are trying to buy more what they call unincorporated lands. Because we need more land, because when you're in a big city that I come from, and I grew up in Bryanteville in the west side of Chicago, you know, everybody's kind of condensed all together. Children don't know what it looks like to see a neighborhood like this out here. They, you know, all the things you were saying, and I travel around the world for a long time, and they haven't seen anything. And so I know what it did for me when I grew up in the projects. Yep. And then when I got my first job playing for a big group, that gave me, that afforded me to see everything around the world. And then I ended up being part of the history of music and that continuation until hip hop came, and then that kind of changed some dynamics because, you know, music is always changing. Now we know that the part of hip hop was part of the weaponization of keeping us subjugated and not growing in the right direction, and that's a story for another day. But right now, what's going to be really simple is bring these kids to farmland. You know,
I got you.
When, you know, that's what we were doing before the colonization took over.
Okay.
And now that happened, now that correlation has taken over, it has never been the same. So we got to go back a little bit, and like I said, for these young people to understand their future, is that they have to understand their past. And so once we have a program that deals with nutrition, music, not the crazy music though, and good conscious music, that's going to make people, that's going to have a better future for America. Because right now these kids we have a lot of distractions since the phones came out, and people are jerking and twerking and whatever they're doing all kinds of stuff up there. But we need to get our children focused on a better future. And people like yourself and those who are sitting in this room or whatever, we need more farmland for these young people, because I'm a product of what those kids are going through now.
We're gonna chop it up after. I got you.
All right, so I just want to let you know.
All right, we're gonna chop it up. Thank you. We're gonna chop it up. Exchange info.
One more question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah.
Hi, my name is Hugh. Thank you very much for your story. One of the things, sure, is that better? One of the things that has struck me listening to you tonight, I was, to give you a brief background, 2 days ago I was at a meeting at the Jewish Reconstruction Congregation in Evanston. And they had an event where they brought together two men, one Jewish from Israel and a Palestinian man from the West Bank. And there was the discussion of how these two men came together and recognized and saw their humanity in one another, and are working on building community between one another and extending that respect and appreciation and love for the other's humanity, one to another. I see a personal. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I personally see a parallel, similarity of, in the United States, we have an occupied area, and we have a country that is the occupier. It's the south side, the west side has been redlined and distinguished as an area that is where it's been divested. It has been excluded and has been occupied and economically suppressed. We have the north, virtually white suburbs, and the western suburbs, wealthy suburbs. We have othered one another in this society, and so my question to you is, if we can see the example of these two men, and they're not alone, there are others who are working on the same very thing. Where is the humanity in one another? And let's embrace that. What is your thought on this?
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I try not. I keep on asking myself, like,
That's deep, man. That's deep. But I do think that I always ask myself, what would Dr. King do? And I think I asked myself, what would he do, man? I know when he did his march in 1963, they got affirmative action, prohibition of discrimination in public spaces, integration of schools and public facilities, laws against employment discrimination. By doing that, man, I hope that I can see a similar framework sometime in the Middle East, or Nelson Mandela can stand up, you know what I mean, and inspire people to come together. But that's as much as I can get to. I understand exactly what you're saying. I just, I just don't really want to be tarred and feathered online by, that's kind of kind of, you can say anything and people can take it a different way, but I'm learning now. I'm learning, I'm listening. I had a chance to visit the consulate of Israel in Chicago, right? And I also visited with Iman, the Inner City Muslim Action Network, and man, it hurts my heart to see oppression of anybody, and I mean, Lord of mercy, man, it hurts my heart. So right now, I'm just trying my best to learn and help where I can, and just, that's what I meant with it. But I do understand where you're going, so. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
So I think I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and also because I know some people want to make personal connections with you afterwards. So I just want to forward the slide so that you can see the website, and also let everyone know that Mr. Cole brought some materials that are out on the table outside of the auditorium here, including some of the signs, yard signs. And you're welcome to, there's a QR code on the signs and also in the brochure to take you to My Block, My Hood, My City website, as well as a donation page. So with that, I want to say thank you so much for your time and for your stories and for your just inspiring and empowering words. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Everyone to the lead.